Hello and welcome to this Gameweek 23 edition of the FPL Scope podcast. I am your host Mathias, and with me today I have two co-hosts. One of them is Kimo, and the second one I don't recognize. Could you introduce yourself, you unbearded guy? Who are you?
I made a huge mistake.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
that's all I can say.
It makes sense. So you had to brush off your beard.
It's all the good luck gone now as well. So yes, my name is Kevin, and I shaved my beard.
Looks totally different. Yeah.
I look like I should be on a offenders list or something. But yeah, now all the money is gone from our video. So yeah,
Money's gone from our video. Money's potentially gone from Man City because they are in big trouble. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts about that. Man City, they've been alleged to have breached a bunch of different transfer rules in terms of the FPL rules, and they might, I'm saying might because we all know what happens usually with people with money and power, but they might get deducted points, they might get relegated, they might get transfer bans.
And they might not get anything, I think so.
Yeah, so what's your outlook, Kimo? What do you think should be the consequences? What do you think will be the consequences? What's your whole outlook on the whole situation? While you say that, I'm just gonna fix my lighting because I realized that my lighting is a bit messed up. So yeah.
I really haven't looked up the case like in details, but I don't think it will affect them so much at the time being. But I don't know. It can be anything, but it sounds a little bit more serious than the previous one. For so many several resources that they've been talking, this time is more serious, and they are in deep shit. But how long would it take to solve this case? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? I don't know. And I think City are capable of hiring the right advocates, if you can say. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of lawyers and stuff, they've always been perfectly fine in all this, and they've got such a crazy expensive defense attorney and all this type of stuff. So, I mean, for me, some people are trying to say, oh, the Spurs match was them, the players having known everything that happened. I don't buy that 1 second. So for me, I think they'll be okay. There might be some punishments and stuff like that, but like, I think City would be even more worried if there was like really substantial proof that they did wrongdoing so many times. Like, I'm sure they must have made a mistake. I don't not buy that in that regards, because all clubs have made mistakes and all clubs have paid for it. I think there's no monetary value that should be like I don't want it to just be a fine. If they actually did cheat or whatever they did, they should face the same bans that all clubs have faced, either a transfer ban, European ban in the case of the UEFA against City thing, but they won that as well.
Chelsea would follow, I think so.
Yeah, like I think there's so many clubs that would be screwed. So I think City will get punished, but I don't think it'll be that severe of a punishment. I don't even think it's like, because Juventus was sort of like an open secret. We all knew that their bookkeeping, especially
ask me well,
yeah, like everyone knew that this was the case. This came like as a genuine shock to most people. So I feel like I reckon City will get away with it, but not entirely scot-free.
Yeah, I didn't catch most of what you said there because I was fixing the lights and stuff. But yeah, personally,
decent thoughts.
Decent thoughts. Yeah, I agree completely with everything you said. But yeah, there's no real secret that like Man City and Chelsea. Well, I'm bringing Chelsea up in this as well. That their success has come from external factors, bringing in money and then them spending a lot of money. So for me, it's not like this big, like, oh, Man City cheated. Oh, that's big news. Like, no, that's always been the case. Like, they got money from somewhere else, and then they used it to win. And, fair enough. If they punish that, I've actually welcome it because I have some history with Chelsea and stuff. I'm not going to get into that in this podcast, but yeah. I'm not a big fan of the whole major spending thing that's going on currently in the Premier League. But anyways, this is FPL Podcast. We're going to be spending FPL cash, not regular cash. So we'll move on to this current game week that's still going on, because this is filmed on Wednesday. So it's about 2 hours until Man United play the final match of the game week. And that will be the final match of the triple captain for Kevin, because he used his triple captainship this week, and it has worked out really well so far, because Rashford got 12 points times 3, that's 36, and that gave him a huge leg up in this game week. And another leg up for Kevin was doing a -4. Some would say it's risky, but Kevin took the risk, and you got rewarded for it, and that was Mitoma in for Rodrigo for -4. Benching Almiron, who's going to come in for Martial anyway, but that's even more reason to do it, because without the extra transfer, you would have just had Rodrigo on your bench with 0, so you would have no one coming in for Martial, and that would be even more points lost. So big game from you.
But well played for bringing in Matoma. Really well played. 11 points. Really cool.
So Kevin, speak more about that. You can gloat, because I was kind of criticizing you for doing -4 when you didn't have to, because you could just play Almiron against West Ham. But go ahead, Kevin. What do you think of your game week so far?
Yeah, I think everything so far has gone swimmingly well, besides Martial just randomly scoring, making everyone keep him, and then for him to randomly get injured 2 seconds later. So a bit frustrated with that, but other than that, the Mitoma move was simply the Mitoma and Almiron benching are so linked, because Mitoma was brought in because of his form, Almiron was benched because of his form, and it ended up being exactly perfect, where Mitoma scored a late winner and Almiron got an assist chalked off because he's not Japanese and can't keep the ball within the realms of the game, and ended up doing nothing in that game. So I feel very vindicated. I feel very happy with the move in general. It's just a shame that a lot of these injuries sort of came into the fold in some sense, because I would have much preferred having Rodrigo play both games, because I reckon he was the actual thing that Leeds were missing in the game that they played previously. But other than that, very happy with everything. Of course, the James thing is really irritating, considering the fact that we were literally 30 seconds away from him keeping a clean sheet.
I'll talk more about that when it comes to my team.
But other than that, 84 points with our captain still to play, and
triple captain.
Fernandes is probably going to do something stupid as well. So it's going to be a good time. All I can wish for is that someone random like Ailing gets to score for Leeds, because I do not have Luke Shaw because of Martial, and I am still scared that he'll get 15 or 20 points this match day. So yeah.
He was close last time. But yeah, we'll move on to someone who had less luck this game week, and that's Kimo. 57 points. You did decent transfers. It's just the triple captaincy situation is sort of... we don't know. You still have triple captaincy left, so you might get even more points. That's what happened last year. Everyone used it on Salah. It looked like you made a big mistake and you didn't use it on Salah, and then you used it on De Bruyne, and he got so much more.
90 bonus. Yeah.
So go ahead, Kimo. Just talk about your team and your decision of not triple captaining and captaining Fernandes ahead of Rashford as well.
I think I will start with my transfers. I was pretty proud of getting rid of Almiron in the right time, just like doing the right moves again. That's building on something slowly, but I mean, like, I saw that Almiron is doing no well, so I had to sell him. Fernandes had to come for sure. Zinchenko was a bit unlucky, losing 1-0 and getting the yellow card at the end of the game. But yeah, he was playing good. He would have scored in one of the corners or something like this. Was playing really well, so I'm pretty unlucky here. But I think my captaincy was based on, I'm already on 2-point-something million. So if I needed to climb a bit quicker, I need to be more different, drastically different. And that game week, I thought, okay, most of the people will go for Rashford. Then I would go for Fernandes. The game has started according to my wish. 1 goal for Fernandes, 1 assist for Rashford, and then 3-point bonus for Fernandes. And then Rashford has no bonus at all. And then at the end of the day, Rashford scored. And you know what? Even after Rashford scored the second goal, Fernandes was on the 3 points and Rashford was not in the bonus at all. But the goal that Palace has scored made it that Rashford goal is a winner goal, and he gave him 2 points for bonus. So I don't know what could I have done much more. Tony, I'm really disappointed that he didn't score for the third game week on a row. Kepa couldn't be more proud. Of course, De Bruyne. I kept face, and you told me, I think, that De Bruyne might be something for you as like a special card before anyone will buy him before the double. But yeah, he was on the bench. We'll come to City later, but something is going really off for City. I think so.
Yeah, for sure. And we still don't know even if Rashford or Fernandes is like which one is the better move. Fernandes obviously was the penalty taker, was just kind of a surprise. Like we could sort of guess because Rashford got to take the penalty earlier when he was chasing a record, and Fernandes has always been like the main penalty taker for Man United, but it's also very typical that they got a penalty straight away in like the major double game week when everyone's really interested to see who's the penalty taker. But yeah, Fernandes slotted it home, and yeah, like you said, it looked like Fernandes was going to get a lot more points than Rashford for most of the game. But then Luke Shaw, which is kind of ironic that he helped out me and Kevin with getting an assist, and then he lost his clean sheet and his bonus afterwards because Palace scored. So the whole red card situation, there was also something to talk about, but not on this podcast. I think also with Tony, we're a bit unlucky in general. Brentford have been really good the last few weeks, but it's been Mbuemo who's been gathering up the points, and Tony has not been that involved, which is kind of surprising. So I don't think the Tony move was bad in hindsight, but I feel like you just got really unlucky with that because Brentford have been really, really good. We're going to talk about that more in the fixtures section as well.
But yeah, we'll see. I'm not so disappointed. It's just like it's going really slow. You know what I mean? Just like you need to depend on all the players who have low ownership that they are on your team and not for someone else, and it just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? So yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah. Let's move on to my team. I got 77 points, also really happy. I also used my triple captainship. I wasn't going to use it initially, but then I just thought about it and thought like Rashford on current form, he's in the best form out of anyone in the Premier League, and his fixtures are like the best in the Premier League. So I just like
he's in top form.
It makes a lot of sense to do that transfer.
3.5 expected goals. Oh my fucking god!
Yeah. So I just figured this would be the best time, and also now I've used triple captainship. I don't have to worry about that when I have to use bench boost and wildcard and all that stuff. So another chip just out of the way that I don't have to think about, and I used it. Like I'm already happy, even if it blanks today against Leeds. I'm already pretty happy with the score. He already outscored Haaland from Gameweek 20, so I'm pretty happy with that. Kane again scored. He's been great for me. I should never have transferred him out and lost those 16 points, but I brought him back in again. I swallowed my pride and thought like, okay, I made a mistake. Let's get him back, and that has worked out really well for me. A lot of people are wanting to get Kane back now, especially since Salah and De Bruyne are pretty bad.
Yes, I think Kane is the main man in terms of like
in the premiums.
Defensively, I think
Haaland.
So late to realize it right now. He's been so consistent, more than Salah, more than De Bruyne. So well done for you.
For sure. My other transfer was Rigo to Ødegaard, and I should have done the same transfer as Kevin, gotten Mitoma, because that might be the one player that I'm looking to bring in now, because he's going to get a double game week eventually. It's kind of weird with the double game weeks that like we're so hyped about him. Like now, the next double game week is like so much hype, but it's Man City against Arsenal is the second game. Like we don't really know who's going to score points from that game. And then we know that Brighton will get a double game week in 26 or 27, but it's just since it's not confirmed yet, we're not as hyped about it. But yeah, so I probably should have done Mitoma there rather than Ødegaard. Easy to say afterwards, obviously, but I also should have seen that Everton have a really good squad, and now they have a really good manager. So congrats to Kevin, the Everton fan as well. Huge game for Everton and just huge for the confidence of that club going forward. So I know Kevin's really, really happy. So you can also talk about that, Kevin, if you want to just.
Yeah, well, I feel even more vindicated because, I was not warned, but rather, because of the upcoming double game week that I should be looking into getting Nketiah or getting Ødegaard in or anything like that. But for me, I was just like, it can wait a week because I know for a fact that Everton are going to play a sort of close game with Arsenal's new manager. We're at home and all this type of stuff. So that's why I went with Mitoma, and Mitoma ended up getting 11 points. So for me, I feel vindicated over that. FPL wise, I'm obviously over the moon that we won, and it's looking good. I mean,
So I just have a question. I think I know the answer already, but do you think the game is indicative of Arsenal being on a downward spiral, or Everton just being good now with Dyche and that Everton are legit, or both?
I think it was just I had this whole conversation because I went to the game or not the game, but I went to go watch the match with the Arsenal fan, and I told him going into that match that basically this is the one game that Arsenal can afford to lose because we're so desperate to win, sort of thing. That I think Arsenal will go into the game sort of underestimating Everton and basically going like, yeah, I think we'll win this. And it sort of showed because in the first 10, 20 minutes, Everton were just all over Arsenal, kept creating chances, wouldn't let them get a chance. And then when they did get a chance, brilliant defending by Tarkowski and Cody and everyone, basically. So for me, I don't want to go and say, oh, Arsenal are terrible, because I think that's a lie. And I think anyone who's kidding themselves with like, oh, I'm definitely not going to triple up on Arsenal next week. Like, why wouldn't you? It was just one game. I think if anything, Arsenal assets are going to be even better for this next upcoming match because they've lost that game now. They can't afford to lose anything else.
I think I wouldn't be that sure. I think Brentford, they do really well against all the big teams. They won against United, they won against City, they won against Chelsea, they won against Liverpool.
They lost against Arsenal 3-0 earlier in the season, though.
That's but I mean, like they have the tendency to do well against big teams,
and they're really good. They're one of the most informed teams in the leagues as well. So we're gonna get to that in the fixture ticker as well. But before we move on to that, I just want to comment. Kevin mentioned James on his own team. You brought in James. Obviously, I've had him since the restart. I never sold him. I should have sold him for Shaw in game week 18, and that would have saved me so many points. Got me so many points. I wouldn't have done the Kane transfer out if I had done that and stuff. So just a huge bugaboo for me. James has just been a troll the whole season, and he kept going because he got subbed off 59-30, 30 seconds left, and he got subbed off. That's the second game week in a row that I had a defender that didn't get his clean sheet because he was subbed off too early. Rico Lewis and Reece James. So it's just par for the course with me with Chelsea and Man City defenders. I never get points from them, so I should be used to that by now, but I'm sort of dependent on James and Lewis going forward and rotating them and hoping that they hit in the correct game weeks and stuff. So I'm not that hopeful about those guys, but I'm more hopeful about some other things in the future, and that's because of the upcoming fixtures, and I feel like I'm pretty well set up with my team currently. This is the fixture ticker as it stands, the next 5 game weeks. Should also be noted that the 6th game week from now, game week 28, will be a pretty huge blank game week, and we have a couple of teams that have confirmed game week 28 matches, and that's, I think it's Arsenal, Newcastle, Everton, Palace, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, some other teams as well. I can't remember exactly. There's 8 teams that have confirmed fixtures for game week 28, but that's also pretty far in the future. As you can see, there's an immediate double game week 23. Like we said, Arsenal and Man City play each other in the double. But yeah, like I also said, Brentford, one of the best teams in the league at the moment. I think they have 14 points from their last 6 matches or something. And they're looking really good. So Arsenal's double game week kind of looks okay since they have 2 home games, but Brentford and Man City are no easy task at all. But it just depends what happens with Arsenal. If it is, like Kimo says, that they're sort of on the downward spiral, judging from the Everton match, or if they're going up.
I think it's more like a guess. You know, if the City won against Tottenham, I would have thought, okay, this is going really bad for them. You know what I mean? They totally lost control, but it's just because of Brentford more than anything else.
Yeah,
it's because of Brentford and City.
Yeah, Brentford are a really good team. They've been really good lately, so it just makes a lot of sense.
They really thrive on against the heavy opponents. So that's the only thing.
Yeah. But the thing with Arsenal is that they don't not only have double game week 23, we also got news this week that they will have double game week 25 when a lot of other teams are blanking. So it just makes a lot of sense to bring in Arsenal players. They have Aston Villa in game week 24 as well. And they're top of the list in terms of the fixture ticker because they have a lot of matches and they have some really easy matches as well. And they are also number 1 for expected goals. So going for at least 2 attackers from Arsenal seems to be like a given at this point. And yeah, that's always been a discussion the last few weeks. Who will you go for? Ødegaard, Saka, Nketiah. There's a lot of players to choose from. And we know from Arsenal that they don't really rotate that much. It's just now they've gotten some new players. So who knows really? Maybe they'll play Trossard some more and stuff. But yeah, Arsenal are really good to target. Man City as well, double game week straight away, and they have easy matches. Other than that, they play in game week 25. They don't play in game week 28. Most likely, it's like 95% sure that they won't play in game week 28, but that's pretty far away from now as well. So plenty of people are tripling up on Man City. It's just a matter of who do you pick for Man City. It's always been the question with Pep, especially lately as well. But yeah, anything that sticks out to you, Kevin, in terms of this fixture ticker?
I mean, I'm proud to say that Everton aren't like Reds everywhere, so that's something of note for me personally. But in terms of everything else, I mean, I still back Arsenal. Like, yes, it's Brentford and all this type of stuff, but at the end of the day, Arsenal's home record, just generally speaking, is absolutely insane. Like, to the point where maybe like a couple months ago, you'd ask me, Arsenal City, do you definitely think City would win? I'd be like, yeah, 100%. But now, obviously, after the track record of how they played against all the big teams, it's not outside of the realm of possibility that they actually beat City. And that's why I'm thinking that the Everton loss came at the right time. Because if they beat us, but then lost to Brentford at home, that would I feel that would have derailed stuff. But losing the tough away game and then having 2 games at home to bring back the confidence, especially if they hit the ground running with Brentford. Yeah, I mean, look at those matches. Aston Villa sucks. Leicester sucks.
Everton again.
Everton at home though. So they'll probably pump us 5-1 again.
They are not
Bournemouth
Everton. They are not Everton. It's Burnley. It's like finally watching Burnley again in the Premier League.
Yeah. I mean, but you say that, but we actually played positive football. You can't say that we were just sitting back and letting.
Positive football. What the fuck is this?
Positive football in the sense that we created more chances than Arsenal did. Like we were. If DCL was in full confidence mode, we would have scored.
Football. That's it.
No, I refuse.
Even the corner is like Dwight McNeil from Burnley and Tarkovsky as a goal scorer. It's like,
but
it couldn't be.
Let me put it this way. Why the hell was Odegaard being the one who's trying to cover Tarkowski? That was the dumbest thing I've seen in a long while.
He would have scored anyway against.
Yeah, of course, it's Tarkowski.
That's the tactic nowadays in the Premier League. Anyway, they place their best heading players as like a zone defense on the line, and then they have like the smaller players try to obstruct the players from running. But Odegaard obviously did a terrible job of stopping Tarkowski's run. And
it's not his fault. I mean, it's not his job.
But just to weigh in on that, Daesh football or not, I'm sort of leaning more towards Kimo's side of the things. Obviously, it was not an underserved win at all. I think Everton looked really, really good. It's just
absolutely.
It's just the fact that like the team is tailor made for Sean Dyche as well. Like just so many good players there. Onana was immense. He was so good against Arsenal. Shows you why they were interested in him in the first place. And they have Ganagay. They have obviously Tarkowski, who he knows already. McNeil, who he knows already. They got like the best like 4-4-2 type of team, even though they play 5 in the middle, which was kind of interesting to see as well, to stop Arsenal's midfield.
I think Everton has an amazing fixtures coming up, like Leeds, Aston Villa, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Brentford. Wow, if you can just eye on the guy who would score the next goals, would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that now that the scan came back from Calvert-Lewin and doesn't seem to be that severe, down the line, Calvert-Lewin is the guy to pick. It's just now with Dyche, we don't know who's going to be starting where, because like I would have said Damari Gray otherwise, because he's obviously our goal scoring threat, but he didn't really get a snuff in that game because, well, they played so well.
He hadn't trained properly either, I think.
So he will eventually get back into the fold. I personally believe, because pace was the one thing that was missing from our attack, and that you get in abundance with Damari Gray. So my 2 players that I'd recommend from Everton would be Damari Gray and Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Obviously, Liverpool have really good fixtures as well. I mean, I don't hate their double game week, but man, I don't trust a single player. I don't trust Klopp. I think the whole club is a garbage club. So therefore, I cannot recommend anyone. But I like their fixtures. I think they might even pump us 3-0, but like, and it'd be so typical Klopp. Oh, all of a sudden gets good against Everton. Like, fuck off. Just lose that game as well and then get fired.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that. You can't make a case for a Liverpool player because that's exactly what we're going to do now when you have the first pick. So in this week's Make the Case, it is Liverpool assets, and Kevin has the first pick, and you've backed Salah despite
I mean,
terrible statistics. But
yeah. I mean, listen, this is Mo Salah's potentially final season at Liverpool. It sounds like a really weird thing to say, but like,
Yeah, I think so.
it seems like it's make or break for him at this point. Like, if he has a good season, he'll stay, and all the 400K per week stuff, all that stuff, no one will give a shit about because he was able to salvage the season. Otherwise, they're just going to look to cut their losses and sell him to PSG because
Yeah.
obviously Messi, Neymar's future at PSG seem to be up in the air. They're one of the only clubs who can afford and will be willing to pay like a 80 million for him, even though he's not very young, but in
So
footballing terms, at least.
perfect marketing for them in terms of the Middle East and North Africa, as a PSG owned by the Qatari thing. So Salah is pretty popular in both regions. So
And I just think at the end of the day, like, if Liverpool need to create something and have to start doing stuff, it is going to be through him. I mean, they have no easy task I mean, you could sort of say not easy because Real Madrid have been terrible lately, but they have to start getting things going, and it's going to be through Salah because everyone else is terrible at the moment too. Like, Salah's been awful too, but at least there's been encouraging things. Like, I had him first match of the restart, got a goal and assist. Should have gone an assist for Darwin, who just keeps missing every chance. Could have gotten a goal from a Darwin assist, but then Salah missed it as well. So, like, Liverpool are super shaky, but all it takes is one penalty, one sniff, and then Salah's back. He's sort of like a shark. Once they're blood on the water, he'll start.
I don't think he's gonna have like a good season. I think his season is done and dusted in terms of a bad season.
Yeah.
But he seems also like really not so excited, and the whole team is strong. I don't know, but he's hungry. He wants to break more records in the Premier League. He wants to climb at least to the top 10 all-time goal scorer of the Premier League. He's number 16 right now, so he can score some goals and he can join as a number 10 or something, at least for this season. So it will be a target for him. But yeah, he's a main man. But Klopp admitted that he cannot adapt to the new system. Yeah, so it's something weird about Liverpool. They cannot play two good games in a row from the beginning of the season. So that's the thing, Though we are making a case for Liverpool because at the end of the day, many people will drool for having a Liverpool double up and have a dream for like nice comeback and so on. It's not gonna happen, but here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might happen for Robertson because that's your pick, Kimo. Why do you think Robertson is the best pick out of the rest?
I think because it's very simple for me. He looked more sharp than Arnold in the last 1.5 seasons. I think so. You might agree.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, in the last 4 game weeks, he has the 6th highest expected goals involvement over all the defenders. You know what I mean? And he also has the highest touches in the penalty area from all the defenders in the last 4 game weeks. So along with Fabian Schär. So statistic is not the best, you know what I mean? Like, but expected goals involvement, he's high in it, and he can be some differential from Liverpool. It's no way you would be choosing anywhere else than Darwin and Salah. I cannot see anywhere else. Arnold is shit, and his minutes is very reduced. I think so. So Robertson at least plays. So yeah.
Yeah, Robertson plays for the most part. There's some games that Tsimikas has played, but I think Robertson is the clear number one. Yeah. And I think also like out of the 4 or 5 times he's been subbed off for Tsimikas, I think Robertson has played more than 60. So in some cases it might be a positive that Tsimikas takes his place towards the end.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's one of the things that you like about Zinchenko, Robertson, and James could have been the case, but yeah, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm left with the final guy to make a case for, and
Interested to hear.
I have gone with Darwin because he's obviously the only fit striker at the moment. But that being said, both Jota and Firmino are back in full training now, so they're going to be potentially like. I don't think either of us are bringing in a Liverpool player straight away. We're waiting for Game Week 25, obviously, before we do get our Liverpool player, most likely. And by that point, it might be that I've changed from Darwin to Jota. They're about the same price, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But I think just Darwin, he still has really good expected goals. And people have been saying this the whole time, the whole year, the whole season. And he still hasn't really provided that much. But at some point, he just has to go in for him. Like, so why not now when he gets a double game week? I think he's a decent option. But that being said, if Jota is back in time for Game Week 25, if he's proven that he's like fully fit for that, I think Jota is a really good option as well, because he's more clinical than Darwin. Has shown that, and he's shown previous seasons that he's been really, really, really good for Liverpool as well. I think he can fit to any role that he wants to play, any system. Like you said, Salah doesn't fit the system as well, the new system that Klopp made for some reason, because they've been really poor with it.
Yeah, good system.
But I think going with a striker from Liverpool isn't the worst idea, especially because it seems like that's where the most chances are, because Darwin has been getting the most chances. Salah has been more... He's been central sometimes as well, but he hasn't gotten that many chances lately. If you compare the stats in terms of Darwin and Salah, it seems kind of crazy that Salah is the one that's 3 million more than Salah, but no, that Salah's the one 3 million more than Darwin. But obviously things can change. I think I'm just going to look and see who looks best against Everton and Newcastle, and then I'm probably just going to bring in one Liverpool player for the double, and that's it. It should also be noted that there's another game today in the FA Cup with Sunderland against Fulham. If Sunderland win that game, then Liverpool gets to play in Game Week 28 as well. So they'll get a double in 25 and they play in Game Week 28, which would be pretty massive. So that could also affect what I do in terms of Game Week 25 when it comes time to get a Liverpool player. But I think, judging from you two guys' options, I thought about Salah previously. I thought he was my number one option, but I think actually Robertson is the one that I would go for in Game Week 25. I'm most likely to have enough money to get one of those guys, and I think Robertson is the one I'm going to get. I can't get both of them, obviously, with Haaland, Kane, and all those guys. But
have you heard about about Darwin statement recently, where he said that he usually have a first bad season at the beginning and then he explode and so on. And he's working so hard to explode recently, and so that's something. I mean, both me and you and Kevin having like a terrible season, so it could be something for a differential towards the end of the season. So
yeah, I think so too. I'm just gonna look and see if Darwin plays still, or if Jota comes in and plays. Like if Darwin scores a couple goals, obviously he's gonna play in 25. But if Jota comes back and scores, then he's gonna be the main option. But currently at the moment, my 3 strikers are Kane, Haaland, and Nketiah, and I feel like that's pretty nice place to be. And so unless Jesus comes back before Game 25 and like sort of makes it difficult for Nketiah to play every game, I think I'm just going to stick with my strikers. So that's why I'm probably not looking towards any other strikers. But you can make a case for either Darwin or Jota, I think. Maybe even Firmino. He's also coming back, but less likely. But yeah. So anyways, that was Make the Case. You guys watching, you can also have your say in the comment section. Any players from Liverpool you want? Do you want more than one player? Do you want 2? Do you want to triple up for Game Week 25? Like, what are your thoughts? We'd like to know. So please comment if you have any thoughts. I don't know. Let's move on to the weekly wildcard drafts. This is something that we do every week, where we all take turns picking one pick each until we have a full squad of 15. Kevin is number 1 pick this week, and he has selected, surprisingly, Haaland. Double game week. Makes a lot of sense. As always, no reason to talk more about him. Kimo put Rashford as his first pick rather than Arsenal players, which was kind of surprising to me, but I feel like that's also sort of because the whole triple captain situation, you sort of feel bad about not using the triple captain maybe, but Rashford was obviously a really good pick, and I think it's also understated how good these fixtures are for Man United, because I see a lot of people selling Fernandes and stuff when they have Leeds and Leicester in the next few matches, isn't it? I think they have really good matches. So yeah, Rashford makes a lot of sense as well.
I was saying coachless Leeds would be a chaos. I think so.
Yeah. So just for the next fixture alone, it's pretty good for Rashford. But my case is that Ødegaard, he's my number one Arsenal pick, mostly because of his price. I think Saka's a better in terms of points potentially, but I think just the price point makes it more interesting for me, Ødegaard, especially with the Liverpool players in mind, that I need the extra money for those guys. But I picked Ødegaard, Kevin picked Saka obviously straight after, and Kimo followed up with Nketiah. So that's our Arsenal triple up straight away. Ødegaard, Saka, Nketiah. Like we saw with the expected goals and expected goals conceded, they've been better going forward than defending the last few game weeks. So a triple up makes sense. And Nketiah, who knows really when Jesus will be back and if he'll take the place of Nketiah as well. So I don't know what you guys, Kevin, do you think Nketiah will stay as the main striker after Jesus is back, or do you think Jesus will come straight back into the number 9 role?
I feel like Nketiah has done enough, but not enough to basically ward off Jesus. He's done enough to ward off Trossard potentially playing as a false 9, but
no,
I personally, I think Nketiah is doing all the right things except scoring, which is also the issue with Jesus. But Jesus is their marquee signing and all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think Nketiah has, unless Nketiah now scores like a hat trick every game. Like that's the only way he'll continue playing. But he hasn't done enough to basically ward off not using their marquee signing.
So, I think also Jesus will have like a slow introduction again into the team. He will not.
Yes, of course.
And then at one point when Nketiah does really a bad game, then Jesus will begin the next game from the start. And
yeah,
I think we all see it coming. Yeah.
So Nketiah is really good to have just until we see that Jesus is going to take his place. We're going to notice ourselves, so we can make the move at that point. So, but until then, Nketiah is a really good option. I think he's, for this game week, I think he might be the best option in terms of if you wanted to captain someone other than Haaland, I would advise against that. But I think Nketiah is the best one for this game week in particular. But going forward, I think Ødegaard and Saka are better, just because they are nailed and they're going to play every game week.
Yeah.
I picked Harry Kane. He's been really good for me, so I'm just going to stick with him. We have some money left because we've only spent like 8 million on all our midfielders so far, so just Kane makes a lot of sense. A lot of people want to bring him in. We already talked about how he's better than De Bruyne and Salah. So it's just an easy pick, really, for me.
Yeah.
And then Kevin, you went for Mahrez. And we haven't really talked that much about him, so how confident are you that he's going to play both matches? That's what I'm thinking, especially considering he was subbed off last game pretty early.
Considering the very drastic situations that's happening at City, both on and off the pitch, I feel like Mahrez is nailed on, especially considering that De Bruyne got stupidly benched and all this type of stuff. Like, I feel like anything we know about Pep Roulette, as always, is just out the window. But I think clearly Mahrez is besides Haaland, like, the one that can actually do anything for City. If you take Haaland out of the game, you can still get a goal out of Mahrez. But if you get Mahrez out of the game, it seems like nothing is working. So for me personally, I think Mahrez should play both games, and tasty fixtures. And I think it's tasty fixtures. I think sort of everything that's going on with Aston Villa, who are just so yo-yo at the moment, just like City. I think this is easy 3-0 win for them or something like that. And then the Arsenal game will be up in the air, but I think Mahrez will have to play both because of everything that's going on. Now, the only thing that worries me then is, will the sort of like with Champions League coming up and everything like that, is there something there that can cause some of our favorite players to get rested or benched or stuff like that? I don't know, and I can't say for certain, but I think Mahrez should just play both games. Like, this is a season decider essentially, so I think he'll play both just to keep his form going as well.
Fair enough. Next pick is kind of a out there pick from Kimo. It's Madison, so explain why. He just came back and scored obviously straight away, so
you said it. He just came back and scored the way. And before the injury, he was playing, he was scoring, and whenever Leicester is scoring. He has the highest goal involvement, easy from the last season even. So for me, it was no brainer. Also differential as well. Nobody has him. So really tough fixtures in the next next three. But after that, but he can score. If Leicester scores, Madison is involved. Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the next pick is Kepa Arrizabalaga. Makes a lot of sense as the goalkeeper. He's been the best goalkeeper lately. Tarkowski, Kevin had to back his own guy, should be noted. Kimo thought it was his pick and picked Tarkowski himself, and then Kevin just swooped in and picked Tarkowski. It makes a lot of sense seeing what he did against Arsenal, scored. He's obviously going to get more chances from corners.
He's cheap as well and tall. And
he's 4.2, which is kind of crazy for Tarkowski in a Sean Dyche system. It's a bargain, really. So don't really have to talk much more about that. But again, we come to Kimo with another differential pick, Perisic. Spurs, we saw they have easy fixtures, but are you confident that he's going to start every game? That's always the worry about Perisic.
I think he would start, and we talked about like Zinchenko and James and all this kind of player that you can get like 60 minutes on a clean sheet and so on. But not only because he assisted against City, I think you can get so many attacking returns from Perisic. We all thought so in the beginning of the season and so on, but I think Leicester, they can concede at any time. Tottenham has a great record against Leicester, so one of the goals might be Perisic goal involvement. So
yeah.
Not only Leicester, but also the next upcoming.
They have really good fixtures,
Yeah. So
no doubles, but really good fixtures.
If you're wildcarding now, I think he's worth to look at. I think so. And also, expected goals involvement, he's fifth highest. So yeah.
Obviously, at this point, we don't have much money to spend, especially with my team that has so low team value. So I'm just going to go with the cheapest City option, who might be the best City option anyway, regardless of price in terms of defenders. Rico Lewis is sort of taking the Cancelo role, now that Cancelo's left.
Yeah.
So just take a punt on him. He has a double game week, and he's super cheap. Kevin, he backed Reece James last game week, and we don't have quite enough money for Reece James this game week, but Chile has shown that he's really good in the league. He's not in the Champions League, so he's going to play every game as well, most likely in the league, because he'll be rested in the Champions League matches. So I think he's a great pick. He's already shown that he's close to getting assists and goals as well, so he could be a really good differential pick for only 5 million. So I think he's a really great pick. And then finally, we don't have much money left, and for 4.3 and below, we feel like Max Kilman is the best defender. Kimo picked Kilman himself, and they obviously have the double game week in 25 coming up, and they might also play in game week 28. That will also remains to be seen. Final pick, sort of last minute pick, Fraser Forster. He's going to start now for Spurs since Hugo Lloris got injured for 6 to 8 weeks. So really good option. Like we said, Spurs have really good fixtures, and that's resulted in us tripling up on Spurs in this weekly wildcard draft. And bye Joel Ward, Danny Ward. Leicester are the worst team in terms of expected goals conceded the last 6 game weeks or 6 matches. So bye. Let's hope that Forster can do more stuff. But he's mainly backup anyway. So that's the weekly wildcard draft. If you had a wildcard right now, we don't think you should do a wildcard now probably, but if you do, then this is our suggestion. Anyways, let's move on to our current plans. Kevin, this is your team, and you can tell us about your plans and what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, so far, very happy with everything. And like we mentioned earlier, I think people are getting a bit too antsy about selling Fernandes because they're playing Leeds away, and Fernandes loves scoring against Leeds as well. So I feel like people are being a bit knee-jerk with that. So my options are just getting rid of deadweight, which includes Martial, who gets injured just by whispering good praises about him, and then Almiron is just completely out of form. And like I've always been saying, the minute St. Max is properly back as well, I reckon that his touches per game isn't going to be as high. And I feel like Nketiah, who has a double game week, and Mahrez, who also has a double game week, is just easy moves. So yeah, I reckon I'll do it. Yes, it's at the cost of a -4, unfortunately, because I had saved transfers last week and all this type of stuff. So yes, I'll be taking a -4, but I feel like it's worth the punt, especially because Arsenal have not two good home games, but has 2 home games, and Mahrez's home game against Aston Villa could, end 3-4-0, considering just how inconsistent they've been. And also City have to respond. So if anyone's going -4, do it because you're trying to get double game week assets. But other than that, yeah, happy with my team. I feel the only thing that's
why would you put Almiron on the bench? Why not try to risk and play him against Bournemouth? They are really terrible.
We're selling Almiron.
I'm selling Almiron.
But that's the question though, because you're buying Mahrez and you're gonna play him. So who do you bench? That's the question. Who would you bench? Just put the answer to the question to Kimo. Who would you bench if you have Mahrez in Almiron's position and Nketiah in Marcel's position? Who would you bench to bring in Mahrez?
I'd bench. I would not bench Fernandes and Saka and Rashford. So I would bench Mitoma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's looking like the most likely prospect.
Yeah,
no, Kevin, is that your thought as well?
If I could triple captain Mitoma, I would. So I'm going to do the opposite. I can't triple captain him. But because I already did on Rashford, now that's been the success. So the plan is, I think, genuinely to bench Mitoma. Again, injuries and all this type of stuff can also change a lot of the sort of projections. But I'm starting to get worried about Ben White, because there's like rumors and all this type of stuff coming out, like, oh, maybe Tomiyasu is the one who should start getting to play again but I feel like it's a bit harsh to judge Ben White on the last 2 games when he's been great for the last other 20. So personally, I am a bit scared that I want to fix my defense, because
But I think you have Bueno. I mean, Patterson is really close.
So Patterson's close to coming back, and
it's not a crisis. Yeah.
But I think Ben White will play one of the games, and therefore I don't really care. My more pressing matter is to nail the attack and midfield for next week, because I feel like there's an obvious candidate there. It's just a question of who you end up picking, right? And I feel like for the time being, Mahrez and Nketiah is the right move rather than trying to go for Odegaard, because then I have no striker there, and then there's no cheap City striker other than because they already have Holland, and that's all. Like, I'm not going to go for Julian Alvarez, so yeah, it would screw up my chance and plans if I end up going the Odegaard route. But if I were you, Odegaard is less risky than Nketiah, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think you sort of sold yourself on the right idea. I think you should do Odegaard personally, but that's me, the Norwegian, talking. So, but just also, it seems a bit weird to bench Mitoma against Crystal Palace, because Crystal Palace are like the worst team in the league. So it just feels a bit risky.
It's a dilemma, yeah.
So you have sort of a luxury problem for -4 by doing -4. So, but this is me yet again criticizing you for doing a -4. So it's probably going to backfire on me. So we'll see. Let's move on to Kimo's team. You also have some interesting transfer plans with -4. I also have some criticisms about this.
Buying you can who doesn't play.
Yeah, you can try to sell me on this, and I'm gonna say what I would do rather instead afterwards, and Kevin can chime in as well, obviously.
I think it's pretty obvious. I'm selling someone who has Nottingham Forest, who is cheap, to get Saka as a double game week, so for a -4, and also selling Tony. So I'm switching from 3-4-3 to 3-5-2 for the first time in a long time. So I think I have to go for Saka, even though I'm not so happy to see Martinelli in my team. I would have wished it was Odegaard, but I might also think about Martinelli to Odegaard. I don't know, it might sound stupid, but I don't see anything coming from Martinelli, neither a minutes played, and we've seen it the last game week when he hit off at the 58th minute. So pretty basic. I need Saka, I need a double game week player from Arsenal in case they score. And yeah, captaining Holland, Rashford, that's it. Easy. And also I don't think so that Mitrovic has a high scoring chance against Nottingham Forest. If you have seen the highlights of Nottingham, they were so amazing defensively, and Keylor Navas is really the new Buffon. So That's why actually it was an easy choice to sell Andreas Pereira, because I don't think doubling up against Nottingham Forest is really smart at the moment. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I have my thoughts as well, but I'm going to let Kevin have his suggestion first. I'm curious to see if you have the same suggestion that I'm going to have, but Kevin, what would you do if you were in Kimo's shoes?
Nketiah.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say
Yeah.
I would probably say Nketiah, but I'm also the biggest Saka fanboy, so I would say bring Saka in simply because I just, not to say that Odegaard hasn't been playing out of his skin, because he has to. I just, every time Saka gets the ball, I'm just like, yep, he's about to do something crazy. Yep, he almost scored against Everton. Like, yep, like I'm just so convinced by Saka that I would say,
Yeah. It's so
but I feel like you can balance the team out a bit better if you ended up picking Nketiah and then switching
actually,
Andreas to
I'm
someone
not
else.
stubborn. I'll give it a thought, but
Like,
Saka's so dangerous. You know what I mean? Nketiah,
yeah, 100%. And that's why I think I don't hate you for going with this move.
I don't have a certain statistic about Arsenal attacking from the right and the left, but actually most of the attacking things is from Odegaard to the right.
Yeah.
Recently.
Recently, especially. They don't trust Martinelli like they do Saka, so.
Yeah, you obviously touched on my suggestion as well. It's Nketiah. I feel like you can just cut your losses in terms of you're doing a -4 and getting Greenwood, who's not going to play because Leeds have like a gajillion offensive players. So you have a player who's not going to play going into a lot of game weeks where you need all your players to play. Yeah. So I think Greenwood is just like such a big dud, and seeing as you can't, you can either do like a better striker and Ødegaard, or you can do just Nketiah for Tony, just straight up.
I'll give it a thought, but seems like Saka is a strong contender. Yeah,
I like Saka as well. I wish I had him personally. We're going to move on to my team. I'm still not going to bring him in because I obviously have 3 Arsenal players that I'm really happy with currently as well: Gabriel, Ødegaard, and Nketiah. But yeah, Saka is definitely in my future plans as well, especially when Fernandes starts blanking. But we'll see. He might punish me earlier, but we'll see. But currently, I have 2 different suggestions, and I'm pretty much leaning towards one of them, and that is to Kevin's happiness. But obviously, Kevin is bringing in Mahrez, but I'm gonna bring in Mitoma finally. And to be fair, I have mentioned Mitoma for a long time. Kimo, you know this as well. Yeah. Kevin, you know this as well. I've been huge on Mitoma. That's my one huge mistake from the World Cup after the World Cup break is that I didn't have Mitoma over Trossard. I wish Trossard and De Zerbi had a falling out before the World Cup, and I'd see this before then. I should have brought in Mitoma for Trossard when I had to sell Trossard, but obviously I brought in Rodrigo, who got injured before this double game week, so once again a dud. But I'm finally just going to correct all my wrongs. I should have brought in Mitoma at like 4 different points times at this point, and I think I'm just going to do that. Mahrez is my other alternative, but I'm not as confident in him playing both matches as you guys are. He got subbed off early, and that's a really bad sign for Mahrez. I went back and looked at his former seasons. Whenever he's pulled around the hour mark from Pep Guardiola, he usually is benched or goes on a run without playing that much. Pep is super strange because Mahrez has been his best player lately, but that's how it's been with Mahrez all the time in City. That's why I was so annoyed when he went to City, because first of all, they didn't need another winger, and second of all, Mahrez is just going to waste, or Mahrez is going to waste his career just being benched all the time, and that's my fear for him, especially considering he have a double game week. I feel like it's the most likely that he'll be benched against Aston Villa at home, which is like the money match. It's just the main match to bring him in for. Then if he plays Arsenal, then who knows? He scored a couple goals and got an assist against Spurs. Not the last game, but the game before that against Spurs. So he could provide the goods, but it's just the uncertainty with Man City, me struggling with Man City players this whole season. I'm not that interested in bringing them in. And like I said, Mitoma's going to have a double game week in 26 or 27 anyway. It's probably going to be a better double game week because he's going to face either Bournemouth or Crystal Palace in the double as well. So I just think Mitoma is a better option going forward than Mahrez, and that's probably why I'm leaning towards Mitoma.
I disagree. I don't want you anywhere near Mitoma and putting your stink all over my new favorite player of all time. So, but in the sense of, I think for me personally, especially if you're not going to -4, 100% just go for Mitoma and future-proof yourself.
Yeah, I always have a lot of money in the bank as well. So I don't know, Kimo, do you have any other input do you feel like I should go into much, or just
No,
go
I,
for
I
Mahrez,
think I think for the double game week reasons and for the yeah, he's on fire. He's on fire. City having like a really drastic period. So, but if you look at the next fixture for Mahrez, Villa, Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Crystal Palace. So think again. You know what I mean? If you count on City getting things sorted, I think Mahrez is by far much better than Matoma. But Matoma is on fire as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it late. I also don't. I'm not too happy about benching James, especially since I'm going to London to visit Kevin and his brother, who's a Chelsea fan. I'm gonna watch Reece James play against West Ham.
In the stadium?
Usually, no, not in the stadium because the tickets are super expensive. But usually when I go to London, there's a player that I don't have and all the others have, and he scores. And I feel like it's going to be Reece James against West Ham. It's just going to be so painful.
Yeah, classic.
Playing FPL out of fear is never a good idea. But then again, playing players that play against West Ham is usually pretty good. But it didn't work for Almiron this week, so maybe the luck has run out. And hopefully West Ham have turned the leaf and are better going forward. So still leaning Mitoma, but if I get strong inclinations that Mahrez is going to play against Aston Villa, then I might reconsider. But that's currently my plans. Also, the other thing is this also leaves me enough money to go from Fernandes to Salah. Obviously, if I buy Mahrez now, I won't have the money to go from Fernandes to Salah or go from Bueno to Robertson, for example, in future game weeks. So that's also part of my thinking that Mitoma is cheaper than Mahrez, obviously. So yeah, those are my plans, and that is the end of the podcast. And obviously you can like, subscribe, share this video on YouTube, and you can follow us on Twitter or Instagram, and you can join our mini league in FPL. There was another person who joined the mini league this past week, and he went straight to #1, so it's always fun to see. We have some pretty good players as well in the league, so it's just really fun to see. I'm currently number 10 in the league. I only have one guy below me, and he's in this room right now. It's Kimo. Anyways, if you want to join and put us even further down the table, then the league code is 6IYV7U. And Kimo, do you have anything else to say? I know you want to go watch your favorite team play against Real Madrid.
Yeah, I am watching actually. My team from Cairo is playing in the semi-final for the Club World Cup against Real Madrid, which is something that doesn't happen really often. So I'm looking forward to watch the rest of the game, which is historical moment, I think, for most of the players. And I still remember I don't know how old was I. It was 2001 when we won against Real Madrid in the Club of the Century games from Africa versus Europe. So it's a historical moment. So finger crossed we will win. I don't think so, but I hope.
Yeah. Seeing as you play at Real Madrid, and I always leave the last word to Kevin. I think I kind of have an inkling what he's going to say, but Kevin, the last word goes to you.
Yeah, it's obviously Puta Madrid and fuck Liverpool, because Everton are going to be playing them next. So yeah, fuck both those clubs. Ancelotti's a dinosaur, and we'll leave it at that.
Oh yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
See you guys.
Yeah, good night. Good night.